Welcome to another edition of Wings Weekly. Jay Klein Connect here with head coach Scott Langer, of course. Coach, first and foremost, congrats on clinching a playoff spot there on Saturday night. That's got to feel pretty good to see that X next to the name.
Yeah, it's a lot of hard work, obviously, to make the playoffs in this division with the amount of parity that we have. So to be the first team, to in our division to clinch a playoff spot, I think it's a proud moment. It shows the hard work that our guys have put in up until this point. Obviously, there's a bigger picture in mind, as we move forward, but it's certainly a good moment.
Without a doubt. I wanted to take a moment here quickly to congratulate the Cougar Bantam A boys as well on winning a state championship yesterday. And the hockey culture in Aberdeen as a whole, it seems like especially since the Wings came here, it's been improving. It's great to see those young men accomplish that state championship too. So congrats on that. Coach, a 7-2 win on Friday night, other than a couple of turnovers that led to goals. A pretty solid road game though, huh?
Well, I would say so, Jay.
Yeah, 7-2 win you can take.
We got out early.
Mm-hmm.
I thought our guys did a great job coming out in that first period on the road, and we jumped them really quick. Obviously, Mac Byers scores that big one, and Bro comes right back with another one. So I think that really got us going the right direction. And then, once they did score, we pushed back again and kind of opened the game up from that point. But I think what you got to take out of that game is the way we started that game. A lot of games are won in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I thought that that was the case. Our guys mentally were in that game the entire way, and the chances we gave up. Henry Welch was fantastic, made some huge saves at times, but again, I'm really happy with that effort on Friday night.
5-1 win, a much more physical game on Saturday night, but again, a game where you get out early, and you feel like things kind of. There are a couple of things I know you mentioned in the pregame that you kind of wanted to clean up, and one of those was puck possession, turnovers, that kind of stuff. But again, obviously a pretty solid road win. What'd you think of Saturday night?
Well, another good effort, back-to-back efforts, in a place like Minot. And, you just see the way we responded there in the third period. I think the big takeaway is you're heading into your sixth period, and it's a time where your guys can really be taxed from both nights. But boy, we came out and we attacked them right away and put that game away early in the third period. But, our game was a lot cleaner, I thought. Even though we didn't put up 7,
right.
A little discouraged in how that game got to such physicality, but it didn't get to such physicality until they were down 5-1, and usually that's not a good sign. And in the hockey world, it's usually when you're down by that much, you don't put on that kind of show. But our guys did a great job of keeping their emotions in check and didn't take any substantial penalties that will carry over. So I think that was a good thing.
Yeah, for sure. You see the level of frustration, I think, sometimes when a team gets down like that and then they start taking some liberties and so on. But specialty teams, I know we talk about it all the time, but wow. You guys end up going 3 for 6 on the power play and a perfect 8 of 8, killing all 8 chances that Minot had. You increase the power play percentage to 23.7%, the highest it's been all year, at seventh best in the league, and the penalty kill now at 89.3%, third best in the league. You got to feel pretty good about specialty teams, I would imagine, especially after not being so happy the previous Friday with the kill.
Well, I think the entire thing is we went from that weekend we had where we were just kind of okay in spots. We were frustrated in different areas and had a week of refocus. And then I think a lot of our game got better on the weekend. But yeah, the specialty teams, especially when you go 50% on the power play and you don't allow a power play goal for, you have a pretty good chance of winning the hockey game.
Yeah.
And our guys take a lot of pride in both those things. It's especially, I know I handle the penalty kill, Coach Hill handles the power play, and we compete a little bit against one another, but again, our guys made some really big adjustments on Friday and Saturday on the penalty kill, and the weekend before, Minot did really well on the power play playing against Brookings, so we had to be ready for him. But the reason why we won those games is because of our specialty teams.
Okay. I wanted to talk a little too about playing with a lead, because it seems like, as you said, the start is often so important. Is there a different mentality when you're up, say 2 goals or whatever, than there is? I don't want to, maybe mentality isn't the right way to put that, but a different game plan. When you've got a lead, do you kind of protect it, or are you just continue to keep your foot on the throttle?
Well, I think it's a little of both.
Yeah.
You don't want to back off by any means. I think that day and age is really gone, where teams will go to a high 1-2-2 trap and just kind of let you turn pucks over for the amount of time to finish the game. I think now you have to still get after it.
Yeah.
You mentally have to be a little smarter with what you do with the puck. There's some high risk plays that you want to put away, that you kind of let your guys get away with during the course of the game, because that's part of development. But when you get in a situation when you have a lead and you're late in the game or halfway through the third period, you want to make sure that you don't put pucks in areas that you're going to get, that it's going to cost you.
Right.
So, we do a little of both. You won't see us sit back, that's for sure. That's not in our repertoire. We're going to finish the game hard no matter what, and we're going to try to outscore you.
Well, and like you said, there's some dangerous areas. Obviously, in front is not a place where you want to have it. And as you mentioned, Henry Welsh made some huge saves Friday night, but Saturday night too, another one where he dives across and gets a paddle on a stick where the entire building practically was on its feet, thinking they had just scored, and somehow he bats that out of the air. And I mean, he made some monster saves on Saturday night too, didn't he?
Yeah. I was just talking about that the month that Henry's had. I mean, he was 5-1 on the month, and I think he was a 9.4. Save percentage, close to a 9.5 save percentage, and a 1.4. It's a pretty good month.
Yeah.
And that's despite the tough game that he had there with Austin. But our goaltending, either night we can go with one of our guys and we're going to get a great effort, and we know that the guys playing in front of them are going to play hard for those 2 guys.
Certainly, and a very important piece. And if last year has shown anybody anything, I think the year that Matt Vernon had as the NAHL Goaltender of the Year obviously shows that that's an important piece. I wanted to also address something that I thought was kind of interesting over the weekend, at other times too. When we go to St. Cloud, for example, the hotel manager is always saying, "Why are you wearing suits? Why is everybody wearing suits? Are you guys going to a wedding or something?" And she laughs, and I said, "Well, no, that's just what we do on the road. No other team does that." What does professionalism mean to you as an organization, and how the guys carry themselves, the way they look, the way they act, all of that?
Everything.
Big part of it.
It's the way you portray your franchise and your organization is a huge part of your culture and obviously your identity. And we want to walk like pros, dress like pros, everything we want to do. I mean, you watch our guys in the hotel. Once they have breakfast, they're cleaning the area. They're not waiting for the hotel to clean up their mess. No matter where we go in the conference center, our chairs are going back where they belong. I just think there's a right way of living. Mm-hmm. And if you live the right way and you do things the right way, it's going to pay off for you, and people notice it.
Yeah, they do.
There was a gentleman before the game on Friday night that couldn't believe how organized we looked near the locker room, just the locker room. And he just
the training,
and he had mentioned that. He just said, like other teams come in here and it's like everything's all over the place, and that makes me happy. Mm-hmm. And the suit thing is more or less when you have to go shower, put on that suit, you start your mentality for the game. You start thinking about what you're about to do when you put that suit on. And I don't think you can go from a track suit, from the bus to a track suit with a hat on to getting to the arena and actually performing like a pro. And that's always been a thing that we've done. And as long as I'm here, that's going to continue. And I really think the guys are happy with themselves. And they, I think when they see other teams approach things like that, they're really proud of themselves.
Yeah. And I've often said it. You look like a pro. You feel like a pro. You play like like whatever it might be. It's important for sure, and that it shows. It does. And like you said, people do notice. Right now, the Wings, of course, have clinched a playoff spot and are at top of the division with 74 points. Bismarck second with 66 after splitting the weekend with Austin. Austin has 59 in third. Minot 57 in fourth. The Wilderness with 53 on the outside looking in, but their playoff hopes are still alive. They have a lot to play for, and maybe some favorable games coming up as far as the schedule goes too, because so that'll be interesting. St. Cloud, of course, mathematically eliminated with 25 points. Coach, next up to Bismarck. They're always a challenge. What do you expect from them after, again, as I mentioned, having split with Austin?
Well, they always get up for us. I mean, I think their games, when you watch them on tape, the games that they play against us, they're really good against us, and they play especially hard against us. So, it's going to give us, it's going to give us a test and kind of see where we're at. We got 4 in a row against this team, so we have to approach it the right way. We got to go in there prepared, and we know we're starting in their building. It's almost somewhat of a playoff feel.
Yeah.
Against a very good team. But, our goal is to stay on top. We want to hang a banner at the Odie at the end of this regular season. And we're going to have a great week of preparation. We're going to be positive when we load the bus. We're going to be positive when we get off the bus. And if we play the way we're capable of playing, we'll be happy after it's all over.
Sounds like a plan. All right, Coach. Well, I think that's about all I've got for you. But again, thanks for coming on and sharing some thoughts. And, of course, best of luck against Bismarck.
Thank you.
All right, folks, we'll take a quick break and hear from our sponsor and return with the player after this. Welcome back as we continue on with Wings Weekly, and as usual, and as promised, a player joining me here. First time we get a chance to talk with Trevor Russell from Old Hickory, Tennessee. And Trevor, first of all, that's probably the coolest name of any player I've ever had on the show. So that's good. Yeah. I don't know why. I just think that sounds just so down home, like, that must be making whiskey there or something.
Right.
So I was giving you a little hard time before the camera turned on, and I don't think I've heard you say more than 3 or 4 words. So this might be a challenge. But tell us a little bit, first of all, about home, about Old Hickory. What's that like? I would imagine there's some mountains and hills and all that kind of stuff around.
Not really. It's really just outside of Nashville. It's just about 20 minutes outside. Not really any hills or mountains. Okay. It's a city still. It's just a really country name.
Yeah. Really country name. So being that close to Nashville, I've heard so many great things. I've never been, but I've heard from many people that it is a very underrated town because of how much culture there is there and how much nightlife and activity and so much going on. Being that close, I would imagine that you've been many times. Have you been to any of the what are they, landmarks? Like the Grand Ole Opry, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I don't really get around there very much, but I have been before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Let's see. I always got to ask guys how they got started in the game. And usually I do that before I ask family, but I'm going to flip that around this time because oftentimes it comes from family, it seems like. So talk a little bit about your family and at home, some of your influence and so on.
I'm actually the first person in my family to play hockey. No one really pushed me to play hockey. Didn't really know much about hockey at all.
Wow.
It was my best friend in first grade. I went to one of his games, and I wanted to just start skating. So I had a birthday party, just like a skating rink, and fell in love with it. So
wow.
So I got started.
Usually it seems like there's a brother or an uncle or somebody involved who was able to kind of direct or guide. That probably made things a little bit more challenging for you to get here to into juniors and so on. I know you played in the PHL with the TPH Thunder U18. Yeah. How does that process go from going there to here? Do you get an invite to main camp, or how did that all work?
My coach Steve Jennings, he pushed me to come here a little bit. So he's helped me out a lot with my careers.
Very important piece to the Wings family for sure. I would imagine, and now maybe I'm kind of wrong on this because I somehow had this image in my mind of Old Hickory being a little more down home, but if it is that much of a kind of metropolis area, probably not a whole lot of differences in the foods and the cultures and stuff, but maybe there's some foods, some comfort foods, I guess, that maybe you have at home that you aren't able to get here?
Not really. It's pretty much the same. It's I kind of get a country feel here a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's pretty similar to the build house and home. Pretty much same foods.
Right on. I get guys saying the Chick-fil-A or places like that they just miss, and got to make sure they hit up when they go home. But
Waffle House is definitely a big one for me.
Waffle House. See there,
Yeah.
that's what I was getting at. Waffle House. All right. What do you like to do when you're not playing hockey, not at the rink, not working out? So do you have any hobbies that you?
Just a lot of Xbox this year.
Yeah.
We sometimes go to the YMCA, play basketball or handball or racquetball, just with some of the guys.
I don't know. One of these times I'm going to ask that question and someone's going to tell me that they're a stamp collector or something. I don't think it's going to happen, but I have to ask every time. All right. What does it mean to you guys? And I was talking with Coach Langer, of course, at the start of the show about clinching a playoff spot on Saturday night. And of course, on the buses, we're leaving mine out. There's chance, playoffs and stuff, and that's it's always exciting to know that your ticket is punched.
Right.
You've got an opportunity, to do great things. What does it mean to you guys as a individual player and so on to see that work the work that you've put in to start to kind of pay off and to see some of those rewards?
Yeah. It's just a great feeling. Like you know you're there, you're getting there, and we're able to do it this fast and first in the division, obviously. So just got to keep rolling.
Well, that's the thing sometimes too. It is easily enough mentally to kind of let off once you know you're there. But like Coach said, there is a bigger picture and something that I'm sure the veterans and stuff are very aware of. And speaking of veterans, I was thinking about how a locker room in some ways is a lot like a classroom. There's so many different personalities that are thrown in, and there's a class clown. There's somebody that's taking notes for everyone else and is super responsible about every little thing.
Right.
Who would be the class clown in this for locker room?
Probably I'd say Houston Cartman.
Carp.
Even though he's not a vet, but
It doesn't have to be a vet. It could be whomever.
He definitely just brings a spark to the team.
Yeah.
That gets everyone going.
Yeah, he's got a lot to say. Carp's usually got something to contribute. That's for sure. How about who's the tough guy? Who's the one that's kind of like sullen and
I'd say Pearson, Brandon.
Really?
Yeah, he is always focused. Just gets right to the point. Hardworking kid. So.
That surprises me because I think I just see him, when we're at team meals and stuff and on the bus, he's got such a funny, witty way about him. I would have thought that he would have been one of the funny guys. That's funny and interesting. How about and that maybe kind of leads into this, but who's the old man, the guy that makes sure that everybody's got their stuff picked up or whatever, that is, kind of the responsible one, if you will?
I'd say Cooper Haar.
Yeah.
I think he's kind of the old guy on the team, fourth-year guy. Just brings a lot of veteran
Leadership and
aspects.
Stuff. Yeah. Well, it takes all kinds, that's for sure. What would you say you are? What's your role?
I'm just trying to be hardworking, just nose down, just the grind.
Good way to be. Stay out of trouble, and I guess in some cases you don't want to be noticed because then that means you're making turnovers or whatever else. But if you're doing your job, especially as a defenseman, it seems like that's the case. What made you decide to be a defenseman? Is that something that kind of a coach has at some point kind of directed you towards? Because I always feel like sometimes there's a little bit of a personality in somebody that makes them kind of want to defend.
I don't know, honestly. I remember just playing defense. I don't know. I just wanted to be a defenseman. There's nothing really to it.
Yeah. Okay. How about your number? How did you pick your number? Is there some special meaning to the 8 or?
I was number 28 last year, and just 8. I don't know. It's just number.
Okay.
Nothing really special to it.
I know some guys that have carried the number as long as they can, and even if it wasn't available when they got here, they make a change the next year once it's available or whatever. And I don't know if that's a superstition thing or if it's just maybe something that means something to them, So I thought I'd ask you that. But
I was number 14. That was my number, growing up, just as a kid and playing any sport. I always had to be number 14. But then one of my best friends, when I started with TPH, picked 14, so I had to be 28.
Doubled
it. I just had to switch. So.
All right. Let's see. We got Bismarck coming up. What do you guys have to do? And obviously, I talked with Coach Langer a little bit about the fact that Bismarck gets up to play the Wings. They do. It's always an intense game. They're a good hockey team up there. What do you guys have to do as a group? Is it something that you guys talk about, maybe away from the coaches, about something that is going to be a key, that's going to be a factor?
I think just playing 60 minutes against them, that's what we need to do. Just full, complete game, and that's where we'll be solid.
Horn to horn, yeah, that's and that's not always the easiest thing to do, because it's it's a challenge in its own right to stay on, so to speak, all that while. All right, well, Trevor, I think that's about all I've got for you. I really appreciate you coming on, though,
Thanks
and
for having
talking
me.
with us a little bit. And it was funny because every now and then, and I mentioned this with Nico DeVita too, but I'll have some fans that will text me or something and ask me, "Who's on today? Who's on today?" And when I told them that it was you, they were like, he's just one of those guys that you don't know much about. And I'm like,
Right.
well, you're going to find out a little bit about Trevor Russell here today. So, again, thanks for coming on. Remember, folks, Friday and Saturday, March 6th and 7th against the Bismarck Bobcats. Puck drop is scheduled for 7:15 both nights. You can watch the games at Buffalo Wings and Rings in Aberdeen. Listen on 94.1 The Rock, HubCityRadio.com, or the Rock app on your mobile device. The Wings will return to the Odie Friday and Saturday, March 13th and 14th to host the Bismarck Bobcats. Tickets are on sale now at any of the Sea Express locations. And the 4th annual Aberdeen Wings Awards Banquet is coming up Sunday, March 29th at the Yildiz Shrine Center. Get your tickets today at aberdeenwings.com. For all the latest news and information on the Wings, visit aberdeenwings.com or follow us on Facebook, Twitter, or on Instagram. So again, Trevor, I appreciate you coming on.
Thanks
Thanks
for
so
having me.
much. You bet. Happy to have you. That'll pretty much wrap up this week's Wings Weekly.